I invite you to breathe with me. To settle in and to sense with me. I invite you to listen and remember. It is sometimes said that we are born as strangers into the world and that we leave it when we die. But in all probability, we do not come into the world at all. Rather, we come out of it. In the same way that a leaf comes out of a tree or a baby from a mother's womb, we emerge from deep within its range of possibilities. And when we die, we do not so much stop living as our living takes on a different form. So a leaf does not fall out of the world when it leaves the tree. It has a different way and place to be within. Thank you, Barbara Hollerith, for those words and this way of holding our losses. Those we have loved and lost have not fallen out of the world. Their existence is not erased because their bodies have died. Our connections remain. We hear their words of wisdom and folly as we go about our daily lives. We hear their worries when we make changes. We hear their pride when we succeed. They continue living on in us, sometimes even when we don't want them to. Difficult relationships leave difficult memories, and still something remains. Death does not delete someone's existence or our connections. Neither does divorce, or moving away, or ended friendships. Something remains. Whatever it is that remains is now ours to care for. The impact another has had on us is their legacy, and this legacy becomes ours to tend. This is the work we undertake at memorial services. We tell our individual stories, we hear themes, we find meaning. We help each other understand the impact the person has had on us, and collectively, we give voice to their legacy. I have officiated at many memorial services, and it strikes me how consistently the people who share their stories in the service, how they're focused on our connections, rather than our beloved's titles or possessions. We hear stories about how he made the best chocolate chip cookies and how he would bring them over after school when he took care of his grandchildren at the dining room table doing their homework. We hear stories about how she never complained when she grew sick, despite the fact that she saw more doctors than friends during her week. These are the stories that matter to us. We tell the stories about the things we see each other do day in and day out over the years of our lives. It's often these daily choices that make the biggest impression. His generosity, her phone calls, her listening. The way people live their ordinary, extraordinary lives. This is their legacy. And that is part of the power and healing of memorial services. This is what lifts us up in the midst of our living and our loss. We find meaning. We name and honor their legacy. And this is critical. In the day-to-day busyness of our lives, it's far too easy to think that our choices don't really matter, that no one really notices what I'm going to do today or tomorrow. But in remembering our losses and the stories that we hear and celebrate, we feel our grief, but we also come to know again how very powerful another person's living is for us. We celebrate their individual life, and we also simultaneously renew our faith in the deeply felt worthfulness of life and how we choose to engage it. I invite you now to consider the people and legacies they've handed you in your life. Who have you lost? You may have lost someone to death. You may have lost connection with someone who's still alive. You may be entering a new period of life with the person and saying goodbye to what has been. Children grow up. Couples divorce. People slip into dementia or addiction. They move or other transitions. Who have you lost? Who's coming to mind, calling you to grapple with their legacy in your life? Is their imprint on your life calling you to forgive yourself or another? Is it asking you for acceptance? For you to make room for your grief to be felt as a measure of your love? Is their legacy asking for some kind of transformation or healing in your life? Maybe they're encouraging you to love, to find joy no matter what, to remember how deeply another person's life has touched your own, and how important then your life is to the people around you. I invite you now to reflect, to write, to draw. We will have some music and several minutes of just personal reflection to think about whose legacy is calling for your attention and what is it asking for. When people pass, they share their light and, sadly, sometimes their darkness with us, and then it's ours to tend. How will you respond to the legacy you've been given? I invite you to join me in a time of centering and prayer. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, great mystery in which we live and die and move and have our being. We give thanks for the gift of those we have loved. We give thanks for what their lives teach us. We have been given a legacy to carry forward. May we claim this legacy with our own authenticity in ways that enrich and bless us. May we carry their legacies with beauty in ways that enrich and bless the world around us. May it be so, and amen.